About 2 weeks before we got liberated, they come and said they set up a objective line with some soldiers, North Korean soldiers, and they said if you can run from the building to that line where the soldiers are in so many seconds, you can go, we'll put you on a train, you can go north and you can work in a mine. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And I did, I tried it. But my leg was wounded and I couldn't make it. So they sent me back. I didn't make it over there. And then 3 days later, a great big honcho came with gold braids and everything gold on him, big commander. And he says, your fellow soldiers, we used them for practice for recruits. So that's all we know if that's true or not. I wouldn't doubt it though.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I say again, my Heavenly Father's been looking after me all the time.
So how about the day that came?
So then it was about 2 weeks later, then they come and got us. And they said, anybody that can walk, this is in Hedong, we're going to take you to Namwon. And there we'll put you on a train and you can go north and we'll employ you, or they didn't say employ, but you can work in a mine. So then there's 20 of us. There was 24 left there. That could walk. I couldn't walk good, but I could walk. And of course they took my boots, and I was barefoot, and then on the rocky roads, my feet were just total blisters.
That's how he got hookworm.
In fact, on that road march, 3-day road march, the second night, first we just stayed out on the road, but then the second night they put us in an actual prison, which was about the same size as this room here. And then it had a regular prison, and it had the feed door on the main door. And then they said, we don't want anybody to lean against the wall. You can sit down, cross your legs, put your hands around your knees and hold yourself up. But if you lean against the wall, then you're going to walk around and get beat with this big club on that door. So they leaned against the wall. Somebody did, I didn't. But so then we had to get up and go around and stick your hand out and whomp it with the big stick. And the second time around, one of the guys with us, he complained about somebody somehow as we were going around, he didn't get whomped. He didn't, and he complained about that. And the guards heard him. So we went around again and got whomped. We did it that 3 times. And then they took us from there, and then the third night we reached our objective. When we were going into this little town, it's completely destroyed, Namwon, been all bombed out, except for a monastery and one little 12-inch board building. It just was a barn like. And that's where we went into there. When we got in there, there was already 30-some prisoners in there. And they had never stayed anywhere. We stayed where we were 2 months. Anyway, so, but what we didn't know was while we were going in there, the tank commander with the rock troops, which are Korean troops, they went with the tanks. And they were on a ridge and was watching us all the time come up the road. And they said, oh, here comes, and the commander says, we're gonna wait till they get on the bridge, till they get close to the bridge, and then we'll wipe them all out again. The bridge had already been blown out, but they rebuilt it with some logs and just felled some logs and put it across it and whatever. But then he noticed that we were prisoners. So he called air support from a carrier. So we got into that building, and they told us that the railroad had been completely bombed out. So we couldn't go anywhere. And then they come back about 10 minutes later, and they said, we're gonna tie you together and execute you. So again, so I was one of the first ones tied, and then they had 13 of us tied together, and we were just ready to go out the door, and when the jets showed up, and when a jet goes over, if he zoomed this house right now, I'd probably hit the floor. I mean, I try not to do that, but I still have that trauma. You would have thought they were right on the ground. They just come down straight, point blank, with 50 calibers and rockets, and just smeared them all. And then a few moments of silence. Anybody in there? And then we got liberated from the tank.
Who was in the tanks?
U.S. commanders, U.S. tanks with ROC troops.
Oh, really?
Weren't they brothers of color?
No, they were Korean.
Oh, they were Korean?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then we went over to the monastery. They moved us over there, and then anything we wanted, we got. And because one of the guards said, if you fell out, you didn't stay on the march, they just shoot you. There's no, and one of the guys there, he said they killed two of my buddies. So he come and asked a sergeant for his pistol. And they had some prisoners back there, North Koreans, and they went back and shot him, and brought back the pistol and gave it to the sergeant. But I couldn't see that at all. But, I mean, I'm very glad they fed us. We got a rice ball every day, black with flies, and some couldn't eat it, and we had one, and it's strange how your personalities are. We split up in 3 groups, even as prisoners. I found that really weird, and I go over it again, and I went over it many times with Jim Bayline, our psychiatrist, that come to our ex-POW meeting, to try to figure out why. Different personalities match up different ways. It's just like in the hall, you're not close to everybody. There's certain ones you're close to, and you try to be open and everything, but it just isn't going to gel with some. It's just the way it is. We're different, and so